Bekwe. I am the Chief Executive Officer of Enterprise NGR. Enterprise NGR is an independent professional advocacy group focused on improving the business environment for the financial and professional services sector in Nigeria. The importance of the financial and professional services sector to any economy cannot be overstated, given its impact on all other sectors of the economy. There is sufficient empirical evidence that a strong financial system drives economic growth. However, a strong economy needs a skilled, competent, and professional workforce to drive and enable it. Any employer in Nigeria today would tell you that sourcing good quality talent is a challenge. On the other hand, the high youth unemployment rate attests to the difficulties our youth are having finding the right job opportunities. Therefore, the mission of the Youth of Enterprise Internship Program is to improve the employability of our young people and connect them to the right job opportunities.
My name is Amina. I don't live in Lagos or Abuja. It's been difficult to get access to information or leads for job opportunities. Sometimes vacancies are filled up before I hear of them. The jobs are in Lagos and I cannot afford to travel for interviews.
My name is Emeka. I've been applying to several companies and attending several interviews without any success. I don't know what the problem is, but I wish I knew where to get some help in making myself more marketable and attractive to employers.
My name is Sumbo. It's been 2 years since I graduated from a Nigerian university, but I'm still unemployed. I'm frustrated. I don't know anyone who can help me submit my CV or introduce me to companies.
Our Youth of Enterprise Internship Program, YOE for short, seeks to democratize access to career opportunities for Nigerian youth, regardless of their background or geographical location within Nigeria. YOE is focused on improving the quality of talent and employability of our young people. We are collaborating with leading premium companies to upskill and nurture talent from entry level. The purpose of YOE Internship Program, therefore, is to give our deserving youth a green start in meaningful careers. So log on to www.enterprisengr.com/YOE today and green start your journey to the career of your dreams.
Welcome everyone to the Enterprise NGR Youth of Enterprise event. I hope everybody can see me clearly. Welcome to this event. It's going to be a fantastic event where we're going to be helping the employment situation in Nigeria. Now, many people have talked about this. Wherever I go, my name is Akir Sakido, forgive me. I'm going to be your host for this particular event. Right. Many people have, in different scenarios and venues that I've gone to, spoken to me about employment. I schooled in Unilag. I was one of those people who was born and bred in Nigeria. Schooled in Unilag, graduated, was fortunate enough to get a job immediately. But one of the things that I found most, should I say, troubling, was people who got better grades than me, people who got better degrees than I did. Graduated from school and some waited a year, some waited 2 years before gaining admission, rather gaining employment into the industry. And whenever I'd asked them what was wrong, they would say they were looking for jobs, they were looking for the opportunity, but hadn't found expression in any company. And then when I would speak to employers, employers would say they hadn't found skilled labor, that finding skilled labor has been their challenge. So the question is, what do we do now? How do we get these people who need these jobs to the companies who need these people? And that's a question many people have spoken about, but very few people have risen to the challenge of taking on and solving the problem. That's what Enterprise NGR is doing with the Youth of Enterprise Internship Program. It's about getting people to the jobs that they desire and getting jobs to people that they desire. It's about training the youth and making sure that they are employable and making sure that we can sustain the financial and professional sectors in the country. I'm pleased today because in this meeting, we have so many bright minds, amazing people who are really, really talented and have been in the financial services industry for decades. And I don't think we could have a better group of people galvanized, brought together to speak to the youth or to speak to employers about getting together. I'm really excited, and I'd like to introduce right away before we start things, I'd like to introduce two people who are going to be leading us in the national anthem. And after the national anthem, we'll bring you our chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, please stop all movement wherever you are. I know many of you will not stand, but to lead us in the national anthem, here's Segun Obe and Chi.
Patriots, Nigeria's call, obey to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and might, one nation bound in freedom, peace and
That was amazing. Thank you very much, Segun. Thank you very much, Chi. We appreciate you. Very talented voices, very talented singers indeed. Well, I said we have some really great minds here today, and I'm excited about introducing every single one of them, because truthfully, if you talk about the story of the financial sector in Nigeria, many of these names will definitely be spoken about. You can't tell the story of employment in Nigeria without these people. They're no newcomers to finding the best of the best in just about every industry to employ. And they are themselves quite some well-read minds. Please join me and welcome our chairman at Enterprise NGR, Mr. Aiboje Ike Imokwede.
Thank you, and I hope you can all see me, distinguished participants. I believe you are numbering in your hundreds at this time, and hopefully by the time we finish the program this afternoon, we'll have over 1,000 participants on this virtual launch. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all to the launch of Enterprise NGR's Youth of Enterprise Internship program. Our vision at Enterprise NGR is simple, is to champion the transformation of Nigeria into Africa's foremost financial center. And you will agree with me that the quality of Nigeria's human capital that is available to back this aspiration is a key requirement for success. Indeed, the truth is that we can't develop our nation without tackling the problem of unemployment and employability. And it's against this backdrop that we present to you today the Youth of Enterprise, YOE, I will use both interchangeably, internship program. So YOE is a flagship initiative of Enterprise NGR. It's designed to address high rates of unemployment, I'll speak to this more, as well as underemployment amongst Nigerian youth. Essentially, we seek to democratize access to high-flying career opportunities for just any Nigerian who has the potential to fly. The program is also intended to provide our young graduates with skills through paid internships and workplace experience coming from really, really outstanding employers. No doubt, YOE participants thus equipped will have an advantage securing employment after their internships in highly competitive jobs. Our goal is to reach 5,000 young Nigerians annually every year across the length and breadth of this country. By reach, I'm not saying how many we will engage. We will engage perhaps in the millions, but in terms of those who will get the internships, at least 5,000 every year. It is our firm belief that all Nigerian youth deserve an opportunity to build rewarding careers. Internships are a good pathway to setting them up on a course to achieve this. Each YOE cohort will be exposed to 6 months of capacity development. And this is an opportunity for you to reinvent yourself and be work ready. Now, look, it will be remiss of me, given what I know about Nigeria's economy and job market conditions in 2022, i.e. now, to expect that a Nigerian graduate, most of those who are on this virtual call would fall into the class that I'm addressing. To expect that, a Nigerian graduate approaches life with the same confidence and optimism as I did, or as young graduates in the 1970s and 1980s did in Nigeria. When I graduated in 1986, Nigeria's unemployment rate was 5.3. Almost all graduates, when I left school, were sure to find a job within a reasonable period after graduation. The issue was not if you would find a job, but when would you find a job and what type of job would you land? Back in 1986, our university degrees were a passport to employment and opportunities. That is not your reality. We know that. We admit that, and we're trying to make a change to that. The UK's Financial Times recently reported that Nigeria's unemployment rate now stands at 33%. The report went on to say that 53% of people, I'm talking about Nigerians, aged between 15 to 24 were unemployed, whilst 34% of the people aged 25 to 34 were also unemployed. Today, there are 25 million Nigerian graduates who don't have jobs. And every year we produce at least 600,000 graduates into an economy that is unable to provide them with jobs. So, I know that when you graduate, you're meant to have this sense of joy and this sense of achievement as what comes next. It's no surprise that most graduates feel insecure and anxious of what the future holds for you, unlike what it was for me and many of the people who will be addressing you today. And unlike my time as well, today a large proportion of our Nigerian graduates are not work ready. They're not ready to just walk into jobs. The education system is not what it was once, and they don't have the skills that most employers are looking for. This employability issue is also what YOE seeks to tackle. By improving the quality of our labor market, we will positively impact the productive output of Nigeria. Our youth, after going through our world-class internship program, can be employed by firms operating in Nigeria or international firms based in any part of the world. We are confident that quality talent will always find gainful employment. Hence our reason for focusing on the employability side of the equation as a conduit to resolving this unemployment and underemployment challenge that faces Nigeria. Through the YOE initiative, we are committed to addressing unemployment head-on, and we want to build a new narrative of a better Nigeria and a new approach towards a much more strengthened financial system. I want to thank everyone who has been involved in making YOE a reality. My colleagues on the board, the management team, our members, and in particular, PricewaterhouseCoopers, who provided world-class support for this project. We, however, need more partners. YOE is a major national initiative for those organizations who have expressed interest in partnering with us by providing internship positions for our worthy Nigerian youth. I salute you. But I call today on more citizen-focused employers to step forward and be counted. I am very confident that our combined resources and abilities will make the YOE program a great success. Welcome once again to this wonderful afternoon, and I trust you will enjoy it as much as I intend to. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you very much, Agbaje. That was beautiful. I particularly like the fact that you spoke with, just the reality of it, that we don't belong to the same kind of circumstances. I grew up hearing my father talk about how once you get out of school, once he got out of school and people in his generation got out of school, they would be entitled to jobs and pay immediately. And that was very far from the reality that we met on ground when we graduated. And part of the disconnect, I think, that has happened between generations is people not being able to speak honestly to the situation, to say that the circumstances are different. So we thank you for your candor. We thank you for speaking so eruditely to the situation. Also, we join our voice with yours to speak to many of the corporates out there to say, please join hands with Enterprise NGR for YOE and ensure that we're growing the job market, the people who are employable, and improving the state of people who are employable to make sure that they are able to meet the demands of the jobs that they're applying to. Anyways, I'd like to bring you our next speaker. She's very, very, another person that you don't want to do without or miss in this particular event. So if there's something that's distracting you on the side there, maybe you're trying to do things at one time, I'd like to encourage you to please just pay your full attention to the screen as she comes to speak to you. She's the CEO of Enterprise NGR, and she's definitely going to speak to more of the issues that Agbaje spoke to. So please make welcome our CEO, Ms. Obi Ibekwe.
Thank you very much, IK. It is with great pleasure and joy that I join the chairman of the board of directors of Enterprise NGR in welcoming all of you to the formal launch of Enterprise NGR's Youth of Enterprise Internship Program, YOE for short, or YO, as some of our young people fondly call it. YOE is the first and flagship initiative of Enterprise NGR in its bid to advocate for the growth, strengthening, and deepening of Nigeria's financial and professional services sector, and therefore the Nigerian economy. The growth that we are championing cannot happen unless we begin today to nurture the talent to support it. YOE is therefore Enterprise NGR's commitment to nurture the next generation of workplace talent. What is YOE all about, you may be asking? YOE is the Youth of Enterprise Internship Program designed to address two major challenges that our young graduates face with employment, which are lack of employability skills and also lack of access to guidance and information on career choices and opportunities. Let me explain the lack of employability skills. Employability skills are those soft skills and sometimes called life skills that make the difference between success and failure in the workplace. Employability skills include communication skills, initiative and problem-solving skills, critical thinking, planning and organizing skills, and so on. The current school curricula do not emphasize these skills, and yet these are the same skills employers look for in prospective employees. YOE will provide our participants with robust training in employability skills using a rich curriculum designed and enabled by PwC, a member of Enterprise NGR and a partner in this project. So thus bridging the skills gap and positioning our young people for success in the workplace. The second challenge identified and which YOE is designed to address is the lack of access to guidance and information to help our youth make the right career choices and find the right job opportunities. We all know the difficulty that our young graduates face in finding jobs. Many of them do not know where to look, and many do not have the right connections to get a foot in the door, even when they hear about job openings. With YOE, this challenge has become a thing of the past. Enterprise NGR is leveraging its wide reach to build a network of premium leading organizations willing to offer internship opportunities for all YOE participants. Our youth of enterprise will also be mentored and inspired by industry leaders who will take turns in sharing their career journeys and secrets of their success. And many of those industry leaders are here today and will be mentoring our youth. And so for our Nigerian youth, YOE is your one-stop shop for exploring pathways to the career of your dreams. One of our priorities in Enterprise NGR is encouraging innovation and digitization in the financial and professional services sector. With YOE, we practiced what we preach, leveraging the learnings from the devastating COVID era of how technology transformed education and the workplace culture. We built a bespoke technology platform that enables us to make most of YOE's processes, put them online and make them virtual, such as the recruitment process, screening processes, and the training itself is virtual, and therefore accessible to Nigerian youth in every part of Nigeria. Our youth of enterprise will come to employers already equipped with the digital and employability skills necessary for excelling in today's workplace. YOE has the goal of training and placing 5,000 interns annually, and to build this number up very quickly to 100,000 interns annually in 10 years. Daunting as this goal may sound, we at Enterprise NGR believe it is achievable with the collaborative effort of not just the financial and professional services sector, but of all the sectors in the economy. YOE is open to partnering with organizations in all sectors of the economy, and we will supply interns suitable for all sectors of the economy. As employers, you may be wondering what YOE has to offer you. YOE offers 3 value propositions to you. First, with YOE, employers can dismantle the many expensive structures that they put in place for entry-level recruitment. You can now register on the YOE platform, give us your specifications on the profile of interns you require, and our system will automatically match interns meeting those criteria to your organization. Secondly, you will be employing interns who have undergone rigorous training on employability skills and digital skills. This should translate to a reduction in your training cost and an improvement in the quality of your entry-level workforce. Thirdly, you will have the 6-month period of the internship to observe, place talents for fit within your organization before recruitment, thus significantly improving your recruitment outcomes. YOE is therefore the perfect opportunity for organizations to do well by doing good. I will conclude by reminding us all that when it comes to people, the future is baked into the present. We therefore have to invest today to shape the future that we want tomorrow. And everyone has a role to play in this. So whether you're a prospective intern, an employer, a tertiary institution, or an interested sponsor of any aspect of the YOE program, please come join us at www.enterprisengr.com/YOE for a green start. Thank you.
A big thank you. Sorry, forgiveness there. A big thank you to our CEO for that very all right. I think that's much better. Apologies for the feedback experienced earlier. A big thank you to Ms. Obi Bekwe. I've got to say, there are many right now industries or companies that are monetizing, bridging the gap between jobs and human resource. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is fine. But it's something worth noting and applauding that with YOE from Enterprise NGR, not only are you bridging the gap between employers and employees, or possibly people who would be employees, is that you're doing it for free. You're not monetizing the process. You're making it free. You're taking it online, taking the training online, making it easy for people to access the training, make it easy for people to access the employers, and for the employers to access the possible human resource that is out there. So I want to say, just because I don't have a moment on the program to open up the floor to the many participants. So on behalf of the 1,151 people that are attending from various states in the country and parts of the world, I'd like to say to our chairman, Mr. Agboja Agimakodan, our CEO, Obi Bekwe, thank you so much for making this process easy for the youth and making it just robust, that there's training, it's online, it's easy to access, and that it will really improve the employment industries in Nigeria. So well done, thank you. This is something noteworthy. Definitely, I'm sure there are people, other countries in the world that will pick up from this and learn how to get things done. Well, let's get to our keynote speakers. You're in for a real treat, people. These are people that you read about in papers, you hardly ever get to meet in person. They are the people who set the tone in many of these industries that we will be referring to today. So let me start with our keynote speaker, the lady. She's someone who is quite a heavyweight in the professional services sector. She is the chairwoman and Group Chief Sustainability Officer of Jumia. She joined Jumia in 2015 as the Chief Executive Officer of Jumia in Nigeria. She has about 28 years of professional experience in consulting, consumer goods, sales, marketing, e-commerce, and has served on several boards of independent executive capacity in the independent and non-executive capacity. Quite a phenomenal mind. I could read her CV for the next 15 minutes, but I don't want to take out of the time that she's going to spend teaching and leading you. She has a Bachelor of Pharmacy degree and an MBA in Finance, and is an alumnus of Wharton Advanced Management Program. Please join me and make welcome Ms. Juliet Anama. Good to have you.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Great. Looking forward to the session.
Wonderful. Joining Ms. Juliet Anama is going to be quite another phenomenal mind. He has 27 years of experience in financial services and mobile telecommunications industries. He spent 11 years with FCMB Group in investment banking and securities trading, leaving the business in 2001 to become co-founder and director of Econet Nigeria, which has become Airtel Nigeria, which was one of the first private infrastructure projects in Nigeria. He'll probably tell us more about that. He was the pioneer Chief Business Development Strategy Officer in October 2001, was appointed Chief Marketing Officer. He left telecommunications and returned to investment banking, which I believe to be his true love, apart from his wife, where he founded Apple Hill Denim in 2005. Please join me in welcome Mr. Bola Adesola.
Thank you very much, IK. Good morning, everyone. Really excited to be part of this today. This is about jobs and opportunities, the things which are most important in a country of 200 million people, of which 80% of them are predominantly young.
Very well. Big welcome to both of you. I'm going to step back and out of the way for a minute. I'm going to get my pen and paper out as Ms. Juliet speaks. I intend to learn every little bit that I can. Over to you, Nama.
Well, thank you very much. And I echo what Bolaji said. I was so excited about this. This is a topic that is so dear to my heart as well, in terms of, youth employment and creating opportunities for young people in the country. We are actually supposed to, have a chat, me and Bolaji. So Bolaji, I hope you've got your chat legs ready, right?
Absolutely, looking forward to it.
Okay, good. So you fire off first.
Excellent. So why don't I
first?
start
I'm letting you do the honors.
Thank you, Juliet. I'm really excited to be doing this with you. You and I, literally went through this market, at a time, where there were loads of opportunities for young people, either pre, graduation or even post-graduation. Tell us a bit about your early career journey and what would you say impacted you the most?
Thanks, that's a great one. So, my early career started in pharmacy. And in those days, pharmacy came with, probably still does today, but in those days, pharmacy came with a mandatory internship program. So the first thing they would do is throw you into the deep end. And I would say that was probably one of the most impactful experiences I ever had, because you're coming out of college, you've done all this theoretical thing, and then they threw me into Ibobi Hospital. And I had to literally learn what exactly pharmacy means when I walk into the wards and I see the patients and I go back into the pharmacy room and I look at the medications and all that. And you have to know that what you're doing is impacting people's lives, and people's health and lives were at stake there. So that was one of the very important things that really impacted me. The second one, which I haven't forgotten, is also part of that internship program was being in a company where I had to actually produce the medication. And I thought this was, still the theoretical thing we were doing in college. And I finished it. And the guy said, now you drink it. You drink it. And I paused for, panicking for like 2 seconds, because I wasn't so sure, did I use the cleanest of equipment in producing this? Did I measure everything correctly as it should have been? But that again brought to the fore the fact that, look, this is not play acting anymore. You're in a real life situation and everything you do impacts people's lives. So I took a sip, and then he then took the glass from me and drank the rest. So he was saying to me, I trust the training that you're going through, that you're supposed to do the right thing. I hope you've also learned that lesson. So for me, that early opportunity of being in a real life situation where I had to practice all the skills and learnings and experiences, bringing it into a real work environment was very useful. And I think that has carried me all through my career. Of course, I left pharmacy many years ago. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay, so since you started off with that firing shot, Bolaji, I'm going to ask you, what were some of the most meaningful experiences you had yourself early in your career, and how those have been very impactful for you as well?
Absolutely. So in my instance, firstly, from about the time I was in lower six, I started working every summer, and it came really from a perspective that, you know, I wanted to do certain things, and I was on this very short reign of pocket money, you know, from an old man who probably could have given me more money, but I think he figured out that, you know, the easiest way to train me was to leave me with very little money. So first and foremost, it was about, you know, making some extra money on the side. So I started off every summer working from a very, very young age. But perhaps the most influential internship in my life was an internship that I did at the end of my first year in university. And I happened to have gone to the LSE, and I applied for a series of internships. It so happened that a guest speaker who came to speak on the campus of the LSE offered me an internship at, you know, a US investment bank, which through a series of mergers is lost somewhere inside a city today. It was called Salomon Brothers in those days. And on day 2 of the internship, something pivotal happened to me. A Nigerian friend of mine, which many on this call will know, Dolakwa Akinrele, had graduated and was returning to Nigeria. So I decided to drive him very early to Gatwick, thinking that I would make it back on time to Salomon, and I turned up basically about 34 minutes late. And I was asked to go and wait in a meeting room. And it was pretty clear to me that they were almost going to end my internship that day. But I got a talking to, which really changed my life. And that talking to was that first and foremost, this isn't play. You know, this is the real life. And you have to bring your A game all the time. And, you know, the blinkers came off pretty quickly, because what I thought was just an opportunity for young kids, you know, to get a chance, you know, to get some work experience. And you have to decide what you make out of this. And that thing has always stuck with me. It's stuck with me when we have interns who come into our business. It's one of the messages we share with them. It's stuck with me when we have youth corpers who come into our business that, you know, you've got to take this opportunity seriously, and you'll get as much out of it as much as you engage with it.
Great. Okay, cool. That's a great one, Bolaji. Now I'll let you go again.
So for me, I've, you know, always sort of, looked at someone like you who has a broad breadth of experience, and you've gone, you know, from this early medical career into consulting, you know, now you're in one of the most exciting e-commerce businesses in the world. And from your experience, what do you think should be done to better prepare young people for success in the workplace?
Yeah, so let's pause for a minute and say, what happens in the workplace? What exactly is the workplace and what happens there? So problem solving happens in the workplace primarily. People bring skills, they bring experience, they bring their knowledge, but ultimately what we're doing is solving problems. So I think that the things that really matter when it comes to problem solving and to the workplace are some of the things that I think the CEO mentioned when she was giving her presentation. It's critical reasoning. It's communication skills. It's structured problem solving skills. So these are things that if we can ensure that our young people are equipped with as they are coming into the workforce, regardless of whether it is banking or it's financial services or it is a marketing organization, those are the core fundamentals that you need to have coming into the workplace. I remember one of the experiences I had in problem solving very early in my career, and this was just when I was in consulting. I was supposed to set up an appointment with, an MD of a company, and I had, called and, reached out and sent emails and so on. And I came back to my country managing partner then, Dotun, and he said, "Is the meeting set up?" And I said, "Oh, not yet. I haven't been able to do it." And he said, "Look, if you have to call 800 times, you call 800 times, but you get that appointment set up." So that's part of, it's a very simple thing, but it's part of problem solving. It's not about I tried, I made an effort. There are no, awards for effort. At the end of the day, it's the results that count. So if we just package that, critical reasoning, problem solving, structured problem solving, the way you do it in a structured manner, it's not in a haphazard and inefficient manner, and proper communication skills. In my view, those are the core. And then you overlay that, of course, with the specific technical knowledge in the area or functional or industry sector where the person is going to. But these things, for me, are very critical and need to be part of how we prepare young people for performance in the workplace.
Fantastic. Excellent. So over to you, Julia.
Yes,
what are you going to ask me now?
Yes. So now that we've talked about internships and workplace, and I know that you've worked in so many other sectors and you chair so many organizations. So I'm asking you now, does your organization offer internships, right? If so, why? And what are the challenges, if any, that your organization has faced when you take on interns in your workplace?
Fantastic. So from the very first day we founded the firm, and I founded the firm with 5-6 young people in the second quarter of 2005. And we set out with some very, very simple objectives. The first of those was that we wanted to build a firm that lasted 100 years. The second at the minimum, and the second was we wanted to deliver results for all of our clients. And when you have such a long-term view, almost certainly you must think about the future all the time. And providing internships for us was always about the future. So from our very, very first Christmas, we took on young people, offered them internships, and that has been a common culture across our firm. And initially, we started off just offering internships to university students. After about 3-4 years, when we had a much better developed human capital function around the business, we actually lowered that age. And we now offer internships to young people as young as 16. The only thing is that the periods are much shorter. And every year, one of the things that I'm proudest about is that a Chapel Hill Denham internship, has become, one of the things that friends of ours, people who are not related to us, people who don't even know us. I remember once, walking through Heathrow Airport, and I had this lady who was dragging her bag, and chasing me, "Mr. Balogun, Mr. Balogun." And I thought maybe I dropped something. Perhaps I left my passport in the lounge. And she introduced herself to me, and she said she was a parent. She just, left her daughter in the UK, right, at half term. And her daughter said when she comes to Lagos for the summer, she wants to come and work at Chapel Hill Denham. And how does she get that done? I very happily took her phone number. Her daughter was only 16 and a half, by the way. But she's been to us 2-3 times through that period. And I'm very proud to say she's just been graduated from Columbia and is going to work for Bank of America, Merrill Lynch in New York. And I'm so proud of that. But these are the sorts of opportunities that we must create for young people. The other element for us that has been non-negotiable is that we create spaces for youth corpers, and most of these are for people that we do not know. And the whole idea is that we ensure that when they leave us, including those very, very young people, there's some key skills they can take away. And even if you're very young, if you're only 15 or 16, and we can teach you to be resourceful, We can teach you how to use Excel well, right? That alone sets you on a good footing, for the rest of your life. And if there's one challenge that we've had, I'll say to you is, can we create more space for more people? We haven't had any bad experiences at all.
Great. I know, well, IK, if you let me and or Bolaji and I keep going, we could do this for a long time. So we'll just take our final word for people who will pass through this program. And I'll go first, and then Bolaji, I'll be very grateful if you also share your final word for the young people. The first thing I would say is that there's a very great book that I read many years ago, and I still love the title. It's called Only the Paranoid Survive. Only the Paranoid Survive. And that's just that whatever you set your hands to do, when you get this opportunity, you hold on to it with tenacity and you do the very best of your ability. Like Bolaji said earlier, bring your A game to the table. So that's the first one. The second one for me is whatever you are doing, don't go into the internship and say, oh, well, they're just asking me to do this. I expected that I'll be working with the CEO, right? Set your whatever you are doing, do it to the best of your ability. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're sweeping the floor, sweep the best floor anyone has ever swept. That should be your target. And people notice this thing. People notice your dedication, your commitment, your professionalism. These are things that come through. And these are the things that will last you for a long time. Thank you. Bolaji.
Thank you very much, Juliet. And those are really excellent words. And I'm just going to add 2-3 very simple messages to this. And the first of those is that this is about Nigeria. This country's future is going to be built around its people and their ability and their desire to want to be better and to want our country to be better. If all of us live in a country like this that has so many young people, there is nothing else that we can do but to create opportunities and pathways for them, and most importantly, to create jobs. And jobs is what will bring the prosperity that Nigeria requires. For all the young people who have an opportunity to participate in this, grab it with both hands. If at first you don't succeed in getting one, keep trying and never give up, and good luck. Thank you, IK. Over to you. Thanks, Julia. Good to talk to you.
Big thank you to both our keynote speakers there. Very well done, Ms. Juliet Anama and Mr. Bolaji Bello. Very, very great words. And I'd like to encourage everybody who's here. We have so many people in attendance, about 1,000 to us at now. People, listen, this is something that is rare. It's something that is precious. It is costing somebody money, even though it's coming free to you. The time that the people we have in attendance, all our speakers are giving, is worth millions in Naira and dollars. If they were invited to speak in places where they were being paid for their knowledge, it would be quite a hefty sum that we would be parting with. This knowledge is coming to you free, but somebody somewhere is paying for this. So please take it very seriously. Ms. Anama spoke to this about her internship in pharmacy and all that she learned, the integrity of doing the work in a way that you would be proud to partake of what you have formed. And Mr. Bolaji also spoke about, giving it your all, coming with your A game. There's a saying that I make people who work in my company take up, and they memorize it. Excuses are tools of the incompetent, monuments of nothing, allowances for failure, and they that use them are not wise and rarely succeed in life. So don't make any excuses. This internship is empowering, quite literally empowering. If you really apply yourself to it, it will change your life forever. Once more, big thank you to our speakers so far. Mr. Nama, that was lovely. Mr. Bolaji Balogo, thank you so much. I'm going to bring up somebody who's going to speak a little bit differently now. He's not with the financial professional services sector. He is an artist. In history, you find that one of the greatest people who have ever spoken truth to power have been artists from the times of Fela up until date. People who've spoken to the situation and the times that we live in memorable ways that we can remember, have been artists. He's a spoken word artist, and he's going to be speaking to the same issues that our speakers have spoken to, but maybe with a slightly more creative angle to it. Please join me and welcome Tokwe Sadiq.
Arise as we awaken to the sounds of the birds of freedom, singing in the ever-brightening more. Ring, 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 ring. The alarm sounds as the fires on the mountain light up the skies of the horizon we live in. The alarm is the clarion call to wake up and begin. The sound, very shrill, is unpleasant to the hearing. On hearing, it also elicits joy and restoration and the peace of silence. The alarm is also the sign that the dream end is nearing, and that's the wise are already warning, speaking, caring. The wise are sharing. A new dawn is here. The light begins to disperse the dark, and slowly the shadows hidden begin to emerge from the park. We run to freedom, for that will be our Noah's Ark, to save us from the rains that sweep away all except the shark. No one lends you an umbrella during the rain, so we must prepare to huddle together even during the pain. The youth is tomorrow. The shores are full of the brain drain. For this new country we build, all pain is gain. For it will help us to remain together. No complain. Eyes right. All you soldiers of the youth, eyes right, for the youth that have the truth. Eyes right, for comrades that will never fall. Eyes right, for the fallen that will one day stand tall. Eyes right, for right is the God we pray. Wake up, all you woken. Behold, it's a new day. Yo, yo, yo. Yo sounds like yo, and also like yo. They all mean different things. Yo is a call to a person or a group of people to gain their attention or emphasize a thing in particular. Yo is a man holding and cultivating a small landed estate as a freeholder. The saying, he's done a yeoman's job, comes to mind. And this is the essence of yo. As we will come to find, is to locate the mind, cultivate that mind as a mind, and in due time, it will harvest like fine, fine wine. Yo is a sound of exclamation or surprise at information or sensation just received, and is sometimes accompanied by the covering of the mouth. Imagine the sound of surprise when the enterprise decided not to compromise and to come together to realize the opportunities that lay within the existence of the youth. So they decided to uplift their careers and give them reasons not to fear. So even as we gather here, youths and people from everywhere, we announce to the world that we are here and have designed this outfit bespoke for everyone that wants to wear the technology of the new nation right here. This vision that we see is straight from the heart. Even as we begin afresh, green as a green start. And like the colors of our nation, green encompassing white, we see the beginning as the first light. And although it seems that the seams are stretched and the material is too tight, we call on YOE to bring back our national sight. This car of our race shall drive us to the land of honey and cream. Green, start your journey to the career of your dreams. Yo, yo, yo. Welcome home. Peace.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you very much, Tokpe Sadiq. That was very nice. I picked up a few things that are going to stay with me from that piece that he brought us. He spoke to a new day, and that literally is what YOE is for everyone who's participating. This is a new day. It's the turning point for everyone who's ever made the excuse that they can't find the job, they're not employable because they don't have the right skills. Everywhere they apply, they're asking for things that they can't give simply with their BSc or with whatever degree it is that they've received. This is a new day. But he spoke to many other things. He said it's a clarion call, and he spoke to the brain drain that's going on in the country, all things that are heavy on the minds of all our speakers here. I'm about to introduce such a high delegation, a high power delegation of speakers. I know that we don't have enough time to have to drain them properly of all their knowledge. So please make sure they are paying attention to everything they say in the little time that we do have. I will take a back seat while the moderator handles it. Our moderator, let me welcome him. He is the MD of the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, the person, Mr. Uche Orji. Please make him welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good to have you with us, sir. If you give me a second before I get out of your way, let me quickly introduce the rest of your panel that you'll be speaking to. Joining Mr. Uche Orji, we have Ms. Bola Adesola. She's the chairman, Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Good to have you with us, ma'am. Also joining us, we have Mr. Akpata, the managing partner and head of energy and project group, Templars Law. You're welcome. Also in this panel, we'll have Mr. ABBA Bello, the managing director, Nexim. Please make him welcome.
Thank you, Ike.
And then joining us as well, Ms. Kofo Arolowo, the Chief Executive Officer, Woven Finance. We're pleased to have you with us.
Thank you, it's a pleasure to be here.
Have you with us. Also joining us, someone who is on so many boards, I refuse to start to name the list lest we take out too much time. She's the managing partner at Compliance Professionals PLC. Please make welcome Ms. Ifako Omoigu Okaru.
Thank you, a pleasure to be here. Good afternoon.
Good to have you with us. And last person I'll name, and then I'll take a back seat, the Executive Director of Citibank. Please put your hands together for Ms. Neka Enwereji.
Thanks, Ike. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have all of you here. I'm going to take a back seat. This is a real honor to have all of you in one space and for free. So allow me to take a backstage seat right now and hand over to our moderator, Mr. Uche Orji.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ike. And good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Uche Orji, and I'm the CEO of the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority. I'm delighted to be your moderator for today's panel discussion on the topic, employability for corporate Nigeria, challenges, opportunities, and needed action. I'd like to quickly give a background to our discussion on employability today. The focus is a critical issue that needs urgent concerted attention, not only because of the importance of ensuring Nigeria's teeming youth are gainfully employed so as to ensure the optimal productivity of the nation, but also because of the impact it will have on other social malaise caused by unemployment. These include crimes like banditry, militancy, internet fraud, kidnapping, and also the massive brain drain that is now bedeviling the country. The challenge of unemployment in Nigeria is multifaceted and one that we can spend the whole day discussing. These challenges include lack of requisite skill sets and professional competencies that make our youth employable, insufficient employment opportunities in Nigeria, inadequate access to information about job openings, and a lot more. Today, we intend to dimension these thorny issues and attempt to profile solutions. I am confident that we'll do justice to today's topic because I have a star-studded panel with me. So without further ado, I will begin by asking all the panelists to give a quick opening comment about the challenge of employability in Nigeria. Starting with ABBA Bello. And ABBA, I will love you to quickly give us one opening comment on your take on this issue of challenge of employability in Nigeria. And many believe in the quality of education in our tertiary institutions is a major contributing factor to the employment issues that we have touched on. Many organizations have openings, but have to go through onerous search to find quality candidates. How do you think this issue will be tackled, and who should be responsible for what?
Okay, thank you very much, Uche. And thank you to Enterprise NGR for inviting me to be part of this very laudable initiative. And employment in Nigeria, or unemployment in Nigeria, is a thing to worry about. And I mean, with 33% unemployment rate, okay, that now brings to the fore where the major problems are, okay? You spoke about insecurity, brain drain, and so on and so forth. But where does that problem start from? Is it because there is a dearth of employable Nigerians, or because there are no jobs? I think it's a combination of both, okay? While jobs are becoming more and more a problem to come by, the employability of Nigerian youth is also a problem, okay? Anybody who has conducted interviews to bring in people on board his organization or her organization in the past decade would see that continuously there is a dearth of knowledge, a dearth of skill, and a dearth of capacity. Now, where does this start from? I think it's not only with the tertiary institutions. It goes further than the tertiary institution. It goes back to even basic education. Many of us that went to school in the 70s and 80s started getting prepared from when we started. And I had the opportunity of going to King's College, Lagos, and I think IK went to King's College, Lagos too. When you come into King's College from the beginning, there's a first subject that they teach you. And that subject is taken by the principal of King's College, Lagos, and it's called civics, where it starts to prepare you to be a good citizen. It starts to prepare you to be a good, or it starts to prepare you to be for your future, okay? And on top of that, there is something that is called a guidance counselor, who from the beginning, from the onset, when you're a young person, it recognizes the kind of skills that you have inherent in you and starts guiding you to that. And then you go on to the tertiary institutions that, apart from the knowledge they instill on you, they give you other peripheral advice and training that prepares you for the workplace, prepares you for the workplace. Now, then you come out of school. One thing that I think happened that is good, or was good by conception in Nigeria, was NYSC, which is supposed to be a part of the internship program to integrate you into the workplace. That has also collapsed. And today, NYSC has become just, let's do it. Okay, get the certificate and go on. But on the other side of employment, we are having more and more lack of it, okay, from the employers now. First, we all know that organizations or sectors have collapsed. And I think it was Ige when he said in 1986 when he graduated. And I remember when I graduated, before graduation, you see on your notice boards, Unilever, then they were called Lever Brothers. You see PZ, advertising for jobs. Then it was the employers that were advertising for jobs. So if we look at it, for instance, the textile industry has barely exists. We have other industries that have gradually collapsed, okay? And so the jobs are becoming narrower and narrower, and the skills are not there. Again, the educational system is not measuring up to what the workplace is becoming now. Changes are happening in the workplace very quickly, and education has remained virtually traditional. Education in Nigeria is still the traditional education that we knew from decades ago, okay? And it's not measuring up to what the workplace is becoming now. We're getting into the technological and digital world. Jobs have changed, and the skills that are expected have also changed. So graduates come out today and the skills that are required do not exist coming out of the university. And for me, I think what YOE is doing today is coming late, and it's short term. We need to expand it into a more long-term preparation of people that come out of our universities today into the workplace. So we need to start building back from basic education to the secondary education and tertiary education to prepare our youth for the kind of skills that are required today in the workplace. But like you know, unemployment in Nigeria at 33% of the total population is something to worry about. And I congratulate YOE for this initiative and also encourage other organizations, the corporate world, to buy into this and help prepare youth to become more employable for the kind of skills that are needed in Nigeria today.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ABBA. Really appreciate it. Now, I'm sorry, actually, I've done a quick time check before we started, but I'm going to combine your opening remarks and your questions so that we can save time, and that gives each speaker roughly 3.5 to 4 minutes. So I'm going to switch quickly then to Kofo Arolowo. Kofo, please, can you give us a 1-minute take on the challenge of employability in Nigeria? And also, if you may please address a follow-on from ABBA's question, which is, other than the quality of education, another problem we seem to see is the lack of exposure to workplace experience and culture early in the formative years. If you can give us your take on this as well. Thank you. Kofo?
Thank you very much. So when we boil it down, quality of education speaks to the alignment between the output of the education system and the input required to perform optimally in the workplace. So a key indicator of the quality of the education system is essentially employability. Employability speaks to the ability to arm students with the holistic skills required to transition from a theoretical environment into the workplace. And that takes form in it speaks to different areas such as, practical skills, soft skills, and of course the theoretical skills one requires to deliver in the workplace. If we look specifically to Nigeria, the challenges we face includes, broadly access to education, or good quality education. We know the likes of ASU strike, and that is still ongoing. So there is a need to address areas in that regard. Of course, the nature and the way education is delivered as well, particularly now as we move into the digital age, there's a need to transform the way education is delivered and the content as well. But also avenues to practicalizing the knowledge gained during that education phase, and the seamless transition between school, education and the workforce. So there are a couple of challenges that we face in Nigeria, as I mentioned: quality education, avenues to practicalize the knowledge, i.e. internships, and the seamless transition between school and the workforce. So if we overlay this with the pandemic, this gap has further widened, particularly in the area of the need for digital skills. So broadly speaking, the education system and the curriculum needs to catch up in its delivery, its content, and how it prepares youth for a successful professional career. The gap and the inconsistencies between what we have or what we're seeing in the field of education and the ability to deliver quality education that aligns to what the workforce requires, it impacts Nigeria as a whole, not only in terms of, the unemployment figures, also, employers are unable to, find and locate talent that will grow their business. And overall, this affects the economy and naturally GDP. So if GDP is not increasing, then that will again affect the ability to invest for the government to invest in education in Nigeria. So what happens is everyone in the economy, essentially feels this pain. But if we hone in on the challenge, speaking to the seamless transition between education and
Have we lost Juliet? Have we lost Kofo?
Congratulations to the team and YOE, because this is the bridge that we see to, this is the gap that we seek to bridge by removing those frustrations and providing the skills training and support, as well as internship required to significantly enhance employability and creating a conduit to employment. And of course, the benefits to the economy will be endless. So if I speak to myself, I schooled a little bit in Nigeria, but I also, overlaid that with, education from abroad. But what I'm speaking to there is that, it opens up having that, the practical nature of experience of education. I did a lot of internships during school as well, and it really opened up opportunities for me because of the internships that I was able to have access to. I was instantly employable as soon as I left the workforce, and it allowed me to work in different countries. Switzerland, UK, et cetera. So I do not want to downplay to anyone the importance of having that internship experience. Of course, we've all heard of, employers that want to recruit school leavers, but they also require 2 to 3 years experience. So again, that highlights the importance of having, a structured internship program and having a conduit between, formal education and the workforce. We have the NYC program, which has its gaps. If we look to countries abroad, such as Switzerland and Germany, they also have a scheme whereby at high school level, you can actually choose whether you want to go a trade route or more formal university route. And that really speaks to the strengths that each individual has in delivering value to the economy. So again, that sort of speaks to providing flexibility in the way we approach education. Not only in how we deliver, courses these days, but also I'm speaking to the strengths of the individual as well. So, again, the YOE team, congratulations on this launch. And, I look forward to further supporting this anyhow and any way I can.
Excellent. Thank you. And I'm going to come back to the subject of education later because somebody listening to you and listening to ABBA talk on the subject of education will say, well, how do we backfill our skills when the universities are on strike some of the time? What do you do with that time? And what sort of skills do you acquire? And I think we're going to come back to that beyond just the classroom education, what you can do and things you can do to improve yourself. Because sometimes And most times it's really not classroom learning that teaches you all the skills you need. But I'll come back to this, especially during the closing remarks. But thank you very much, Kofo. Now I'm going to switch to Ogogo to speak about, give us your 1 minute take on this issue of employability. And you are very aware we have a problem of youth employability in Nigeria has been addressed, and it cannot be solved in silos. How can the private sector work together to solve this problem? What is your take on this matter, and how do you think private sector in a coordinated manner might be able to attack this situation? Mr. Pata, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chen. It's good to see you again. Also, I would like to thank Enterprise NG for putting this initiative together. I think it's an awesome initiative. And the day has just started, and we've already seen the advantages of being here. So thanks everyone at NGR, Enterprise NG, and to my panelists, it's a pleasure being with you. It's such a great set of people that I'm sitting with, so it's a pleasure. My brief remarks to start with is to our students in the audience. I can relate to their current journey. I'm aware of the challenges as I was once in those shoes, because as a professional and as an employer, I see firsthand the challenges of employability at my firm and in the general workplace. And I hope in a few minutes we talk about this, right, and deliberate, that we're able to push this conversation forward, because it's very long overdue. With regards to employability, not one that can be solved in silos, I definitely, and not one that can be solved in silos, and how the private sector to put the private sector together to improve access to career opportunities. I would frame this issue by defining the challenges and exploring possible solutions. And as I said, I definitely concur with the statement that it can't be solved in silos. You need, and as I say, you need a village to make this go away, and an industry. I'm going to say to everyone here, because perhaps a general disclaimer, I'm a lawyer. I'm going to discuss my experiences based on for my profession. So, and I work at Templars, a law firm in Lagos. We regularly hire lawyers, but often, despite having completed both university and the Nigerian law school, which technically is a postgraduate school, as it were, we still find that we need to do certain things to make them employable. You know, employability is about whether they are fit for purpose. When a law school graduate comes into Templars or any place of employment, we've always asked ourselves, are they employable as they arrive? Excuse me, as they arrive, or is there more that you need to do to make them usable? Another problem we often encounter is the lack of commercial awareness. And it creates a challenge from the onset to translate academic theories to practical business skills.
Lost it. So we've lost you for a moment. Everyone, please be patient while he reconnects. IK, am I the only one who lost him?
We'll try to get him back on shortly.
Okay. Can we all just be patient for a few more seconds? Let's see if we can get him back. Okay. Well, maybe he's going to have to reconnect. Let me switch then to Bola, and we'll take Mr. Bata when he comes back in, please. Bola, hi. See you again.
Hi, okay.
Well, Bola, I'm going to ask you to give us your 1 minute take on the issue of the challenge of employability in Nigeria. And maybe speak specifically also, after your general background statement to it, speak to your role as the chairperson of the LSETF. In what ways do you reckon the public sector can better collaborate with private sector to improve youth employability in Nigeria? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uche. Like everyone else, I'd like to thank Enterprise NGR for inviting me here, and also to commend the YOE because it seeks to enhance Nigeria's future productive capacity. You've only given me a few minutes, so I'll do my best I have 3 or 4 points that I'd like to bring to the fore. First, in simple terms, the concept of unemployability arises from a discordance between available jobs and available skills. And everyone is seeking decent employment. And so my view is that whilst the private sector will create more of the jobs, the public sector also should act as an enabler and a partner. And so your question about public-private sector collaboration and how that can improve employability, I think there are broader issues which include improving the economy and the business climate, but that's not the mandate of our discussion today. So I'll touch on 4 quick areas. One is identify what we need to do, how we should do it, and who will do it. So the overarching need for the stakeholders in the employment or labor ecosystem to effectively engage and come up with a holistic approach to tackling employability and what each stakeholder will do. And these stakeholders, of course, are across, like you say, private sector, public sector, educational institutions. And in the public sector, we're talking about, say, the Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Employment, and in those ministries where people create a lot of employment. So, construction, agriculture, and so on. My belief is that the engagement is happening, but maybe somewhat uncoordinated. And really, to move the dial, a concerted crisis mode needs to be triggered. And of course, interventions like the YOE initiative as well. And I'll just share a couple of things that we're doing at the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. We have, I believe, made some progress in terms of collaboration. But before I even talk specifically about that, Lagos State, because of its position as a main commercial hub in the country, inadvertently imports unemployment. Data, even though it's a bit stale from 2017, that the Lagos Bureau of Statistics was able to provide, about 90 people migrate to Lagos every hour. So if this is 6 or 7 years old, I couldn't lay my hands on anything more current. Then it therefore means that with all the effort and the work that goes into trying to create it. Earlier on this year, as an example of what we've been able to do, we held the second Lagos State Employment Summit, again, bringing stakeholders right across the board to review where we were in Lagos State and to identify what we could do. So we came up with an 8-point action plan, which I can share after this event. One of the key recommendations, which we've been hammering on for quite a while, is about the reform of the NYC program and maybe converting it to an apprenticeship scheme of sorts so that people will be able to acquire skills and maybe even start their own businesses as well. And so partnerships between public and private sector are really a main pillar for us in the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. We're partnering with, say, construction companies. They're large employers of labor. And the interesting thing is not even so much vocation, is not artisanal skills for their workers, but soft skills. So they turn up to work on time, they comply with safety standards, those types of skills that would keep them in employment and prevent these companies from bringing in workers from neighboring countries. The second area that I want to touch on is also, again, a public-private sector collaboration that we have at the LSCTF, and it's the creation of a labor market information system. I don't know how many people would remember in the old days, in the late 60s and 70s, there was a labor exchange almost opposite the YOE cemetery where people could go and pick up workers, domestic workers, drivers, and so on and so forth. Well, that was analog. And what we are looking at is a digital version of that. We're working in partnership with with GIZ. GIZ is the German Development Agency, and we're establishing a digital platform. And already we have focus session groups that we put together, made up of, labor unions, Medan, technical and vocational institutions. This platform will also give predictive information in terms of the skills of the future, so that educational institutions can also adapt their curriculum and prepare people for those jobs that will be happening later on. I think we're going to have a beta version of this by December this year, and hopefully we will launch by the middle of June next year. So I'm very excited about this initiative. The third area in terms of public-private sector cooperation is all about incentives. What incentives can we give to employers of labor, trainers, people in training, organizations, universities, and so on, that will incentivize them to support youth employment and employability in Nigeria? There's a road infrastructure development tax credit scheme that people who build roads enjoy, and there's no reason why tax incentives cannot, or tax-related incentives cannot be offered to private organizations that are championing these causes. And of course, other types of incentives that will engender interventions, such as, say, the YOE. The final area, I think, for us is recognizing prior learning in employment. And by prior learning, basically the knowledge, skills, competencies that individuals acquire through formal or informal means outside sort of the traditional school, and this includes apprenticeship as well. And my belief is that this will help youth who have learned certain skills, because we shouldn't just focus on graduates alone. There's a whole hump of young people who are not graduates, but who may have learned skills along the way, so carpentry, baking, and so on, from recognized places. And what we're looking at is how can these be certified? There's already TVET, which is the technical vocational educational training. How can these be certified so that these people can be absorbed into a more structured, formal, and sustainable labor market? So it's important that we recognize these skills and we help them, and enhance it basically through not just enhancing the hard skills, but also soft skills. There's a whole lot more I can talk about that we are already doing and putting into action. But I think that these concrete interventions, what Enterprise NG is doing, what the likes of the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund are doing, unemployable to actual employment or entrepreneurship, and really create what YOE is aspiring to, which is building a significant cohort of African young people in jobs and in enterprise. So in closing, I look forward to a vibrant relationship between the YOE and the LSTTF. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Bola. Really, thank you. Quite a number of things there to unpack, from reforming the NYSC to a tax incentive scheme used to drive an apprenticeship program, to vocational education and partnerships between the public sector and the enterprise and programs such as the Enterprise NGR. Thank you very, very much for that. Do we have Mr. Akpata back? Sorry, can we get him back on to finish his thoughts? Do we have him back?
Yes, he's back.
Yeah, he's on mute. I think his video is on, but he's on mute. Can we get him on?
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm back.
Yes,
I'm
you're
back.
back. You're back.
Apologies to everyone. Something
Yes, not your fault.
here. I'm technologically challenged. Well, so basically, just to conclude on the first points I was talking about, which was with regards to the challenges. I was basically saying that we have people that come into the workplace that are not fit for purpose, where we see lack of commercial awareness, as well as the industry attachment that is that occurs, in my view, appears to be just ticking the boxes. It's not well coordinated or thought out, because you see the students come in there a few weeks before their exams, and all they're doing is just a reading session, not really working. I think there are some ways that we've come up with. We as the legal community, we came up with some solutions to this. to say to ourselves, how do we make lawyers that come into our firms employable? The leading law firms came up with an entry-level training program, which we call Elevate. It's a collaboration among the leading commercial law firms. We brought lawyers from participating law firms, international law firms, as well as the clients. They came over. We do it every year as we have new intakes. That's the first thing, because we need to make them employable. We teach substantive and soft skills law, substantive law and soft skills. We teach commercial awareness and discernment. In my view, discernment, right? Like, I believe it was Kofo, someone said critical. No, I think, well, one of the speakers talked about critical thinking, which in my view is akin to discernment, because you need to have folks in there that can, they have, what's their judgment call? You can have all the education in the world, but you don't have a judgment call. So you need to, we need to have discernment teaching, which is not a skill, but it comes from mentoring. So we did something we called speed dating. Speed dating, where you have, maybe we have 100 lawyers or 100 employees, you can 5 minutes each of them, you talk to them, you see the way they, you try to hear the way they think and the way they are able to solve problems. All this up to mold new intakes. They could be, we see the smartest graduates coming, first-class graduates, but at the end of the day, they are unable to really serve the business, because it's not theory right now, it's practical skills that we're looking for. We also I also think we should take a further step back and start going into the schools to include and influence the curriculum. Because, I mean, as I said from the onset, I'm a lawyer, and my experiences are shaped from that profession, where we're in the law school and we do all kinds of subjects, but it doesn't prepare us for the real world. We come out being unemployable. We're commercial antecedents or law firms today. Well, what happens? We're doing mergers and acquisitions. We're doing insolvency law and all that. But with graduates that come out of the law school have never done any M&A kind of work. Well, I'm not saying that the law school should go into deep tutelage of that, but at least let them have a brief understanding of acquisitions or collaboration. So that's something I think we can do to help that to further make people employable.
You have to wrap up now, Mr.
Yeah,
Bata.
I'm going to wrap up quickly. Basically, I think we should formalize vacation jobs and work experiences, because we should make it extremely competitive to come in as an intern, as it occurs overseas. I mean, I had my son this summer studying like he was trying to do his final exams. But I said, what is this about? He's trying to get into Goldman Sachs, because it's extremely competitive to get in there. Because once you go in there, if you do well, you already get a job as you come out. So it's something we should make the internship competitive and which will create the awareness. So to conclude, I would say we need to take this seriously and tackle this with the importance it deserves. It will only lead to poor harvests, and in my view, self-sabotage among way in the private sector if this is not done properly, because we are invariably the recipients of this unemployability. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is very insightful in so many areas. Quite a number of key points there. Some of the ones that jumped out at me include actually influencing the curriculum, make them more fit for purpose. I think that is super important. And I personally think also that the concept of speed dating and making internship competitive is all very interesting. Young people, when you say speed dating, you have to be very specific what you mean, sir. But I think this is helpful context. But I think this is about exposing them to work environment so that they actually start to figure out what it means to be ready to join the workforce. I'll come back to the point about influencing the curriculum, because I think that's super important. And there I will just tell a personal story. My idea of going to work to an accountant was actually a number of people, but including my engineering professor telling me, you like finance, why don't you try a hand in learning finance as well as engineering? And those things are very important. People need to be spoken to in those terms. Now I'm going to switch to Ifweko Moglio Karu. And, quick confession, my very first job was working for Ifweko. So I think Ifweko, I'm not carbon dating you, but I'm just letting people know that this whole idea of mentorship is actually super important and helpful. So if I could give us your 1 minute take on the subject, and then please also, given the depth of your consulting experience, what lessons do you think Nigeria can draw from internship models? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uche. And this is really a great topic. And I'd like to thank Enterprise NGR for this. And it's a great topic, not just because it meets the needs of the business community, which is, again, I guess, why Enterprise NGR is also doing it. But it's also a security, imperative. And let me explain. We've talked a lot about it, the employment situation being 33%, but when we just understand the sheer numbers, according to the UN, as of July 2000, by July this year, Nigeria will be 216.8 million. There's a net addition to our population. By the time you look at births and deaths, of 5.4 million every year. So just as you're trying to catch up, more people are coming into the net. A net increase of about 1% every 6 seconds. If you look at that and think about it every hour, we're talking about 600 people. And if you put in context that Enterprise NGO's target is 5,000 interns with a ultimate target at max 100,000 at least to start. We begin to realize that the great work that Enterprise NGO is doing is in a sense a great start, but it's actually a drop. It's good for us to start, but the challenge is pretty large. And a lot of people who may want to have this opportunity may not have that opportunity. Another related issue I like to talk about is the levels of unemployment or employability issues at different levels. I may want to think about it from the perspective of starting with those who never went to school. UNICEF this year, during the International Day of Education, says 10.5 million children are out of school in Nigeria. Millions of Nigerian children have never set foot into classroom. So when we discuss internship, we make even certain assumptions. We make certain assumptions that you've gone to school. In the case of Enterprise NGO, in terms of its immediate focus, that you've even graduated. Meanwhile, if we look along the lines, there are those who never went to school, there are those who dropped out from primary school, those who dropped out of secondary school, those who dropped out of university for different reasons. In certain cases, the opportunity was not there. In certain cases, the infrastructure, the schools are just not there. And then when we're discussing technology right now is really just in the urban areas. And even just now, Ogogo just dropped out because of, technology infrastructure. So that is those of us that already have internships, not to talk of those who have gone through that process, who have never used technology in their life. So this challenge is enormous. But that's why it's a good thing to start. But I think as we think about it, we need to also ask ourselves, how do we scale? Because one of the challenges that we have also is the growing divide between the haves and the have-nots. And so the more we give to those who have, and we give them internships, and those who do not have less, it creates even that other larger national security issue. And so that's something to put in perspective. But then there are even other challenges. There's a challenge we've talked about the suitability for employment, but we've talked a lot about soft skills, but let me also talk about attitudes, behaviors, habits. How do you address someone who believes that I don't want to report somebody just by speaking up? How do you address even just to speak up in an environment where you need to speak up? How do you address behavior that people don't want to make mistakes? Because the nature of the school system is such that you need to pass exams. It's not really about the fact that if you fail, it's okay, you learn from it. How do you address those attitudinal issues that are deeply ingrained as people move from primary to secondary to tertiary? And then by the time you now graduate, you now have a situation where people are no longer open to learning. And you know that you do not have the skills, but you're not open to learning. So how do you address that? So we could go into all of that. How do you address the fact that the leadership to drive this is yet to even acknowledge what needs to be done? We may even feel helpless about it. We need several enterprise NGRs. How do you address a behavior that feels that the problem is government's to solve, as opposed to the fact that, yes, government has a role, there's no doubt about it. But 10 million children out of school, never been to school, which funding do we have? And even if you don't have corruption, the funding is not there. You have another challenge of poverty, where people just do not have the income. And that brings me to the other aspect you've asked, because I could go on, of the types of internships. What are the models of internships? And believe me, there are more, and I've even created some. And let me talk about one that may not be so obvious to us, but is real. And that is internships at home versus internships in the office. What is the role of the parent in grooming the child for those behaviors and those attitudes, which are the foundation for even the skills? We have virtual versus physical internships. Supposing you are in a remote location, so it helps to do virtual, but suppose you don't have technology, how do you address that? So those are things to look at. You also have paid versus unpaid internships, and typically, and sometimes, again, another challenge is disconnect. And I can tell you I'm even guilty about that. I was just about to get an intern into my place of work 2 days ago. And we're looking at our pay structures and so on, and where do you fit, how do we typically, because we get interns, and we have a pay band for interns. But this particular person, very bright girl, she can't even afford to have her data card. Money is so important to the family. We have bright children who cannot even afford to transport themselves. So one of the challenges in paid versus unpaid is, supposing you have a bright person who can't afford all those basics, and then you're balancing that with others in the workplace who want, because you want to create a very balanced work environment. How do you provide internship in those situations? And so in a developed country, certain things are assumed, but in our environment, you can't assume certain things because those basics are not there. You also have mid-school internships. I had that. That helps you to clarify your career. I remember I'm a science student. I was best in my A-level class, physics, math. And so all my classmates went to do engineering. But the more I learned, I read about engineering, I was like, that's not the kind of work I want to do. And so in my career choice, I chose accounting. And guess what? In my first year, I was like, should I do this subject? And so I was lucky to say, okay, you know what, why don't you come during vacation? And so I spent all my vacation period while in University of Lagos, going to an accounting firm to see whether it was something I liked. That's a kind of internship. But again, we're talking internships now where you've even finished. How do you even get people prepared for the workplace after they've even finished the school when they're supposed to have actually put school behind? And then added complication, yes, time. Added complication of somebody feeling that, but I finished school. I mean, what is it going to teach me? So those are, those are different models, and we need to situate a kind of model to a kind of needs. And I think the last thing I'd just like to touch on because of time is what are the lessons? And I think I'd like to also address those who are listening, those who are looking in, those who want to take advantage of these internships. One is there's no end to learning. And understand also that you went to school doesn't mean that's the end of school. That you got a first class doesn't mean that you are ready for career, you're ready for work, you're ready for a job, or that you got a third class or you got a pass. Does not mean that you'll not be the best in class in whatever you choose to do. So there's no stopping learning, there's no shortcuts, commitment is required. You need to also always ensure that at the end of the day, it's how committed, and don't limit yourself to only Nigerian opportunities, because even if there are no Nigerian opportunities, there are virtual internship opportunities outside Nigeria, because the space may just even not be big enough for the sheer amount of numbers. And you can do some of this virtually, and you can do some of this informally. And I'd like to end there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I believe we can listen to you on and on, particularly on all these great ideas. I mean, internship at home. And I think that is something that really struck a chord, and opportunity sets that are open, and really figuring out what you want to do is about opening your mind. Thank you very much, Ifeko. Really, really wonderful. And we're going to switch to Neka, it's our last panelist, to speak on you know, your 1 minute take on everything, and also our youth, from what Ifeko said, obviously need a lot of guidance to make the right career calls, but many of them do not have access to the appropriate mentorship opportunities. In your view, what do you think can be done to democratize access to good quality mentors with a view to harnessing hidden potentials wherever they may exist in Nigeria? Of course, the numbers are not in our favor, but please, any thoughts you might have on this would be very helpful. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Uche. I think the beauty of speaking last, or maybe the curse of speaking last, that
you summarize
everyone gets to say yes, everything you want to say. So, but I'll just say a few things. First of all, I would say kudos to YOE for taking the leadership on this imperative. Yeah. To my commentary on the challenge of employability, when I turn around the coin, I would say that employability is largely in the hands of our youth, simply because it has a strong nexus to self-development. Amidst the very limited job space, opportunities in the job space, our youth really need to, first and foremost, take ownership of their destinies by developing themselves to stand out, and to use the chairman's words, to fly. The great thing is that in our digital and information age, there are immense digital resources, and a lot has been said about that, to develop those skills beyond the formal education system. I noted that Emeka, in his opening video, spoke to his need to make himself more marketable to employers. Well, I would say that by identifying this constraint, I would say he's more than halfway there by turning the challenge into an opportunity. Yeah, but to the core question that you've asked me, how do we democratize access to good quality mentors? How do we scale mentorship and deepen the reach? I think I'll speak to two avenues to scale mentorship. One is through the school system, and I think a lot has been said about that. And secondly, through digital technology. Again, Mr. Adesola, incidentally, my mentor, stole my thunder when she spoke to what they're doing in the digital space. But it was music to my ears, really. That a lot of the things that I was thinking about, just thinking about what YOE is doing and what else can be done in terms of mentorship. It was nice to see that, well, trust my action woman, a lot is already going on. But just to say that given that we have both secondary and tertiary institutions in the remotest parts of the country, we really can't miss that opportunity to maximize this platform to guide our youth to prepare for the workplace, shape their minds earlier on. The schools can access quality volunteers through the platforms. There are professionals everywhere, right? You have, in the remotest part of the country, you have all kinds of professionals who work there. You have salesmen, for consumer companies who are professionals. You just have all kinds of people. You have Nigerians in diaspora who can provide group mentorship. And then you have the whole virtual world at our disposal, and all that. So I think, that's important. And also to say that, career, and I would say that career counseling and advisory, and I think a bit was said about that, should really be made compulsory in our schools. I think some schools have that, but other schools don't necessarily have that. I think many people can access that, the resources that are available to them. Okay, and then to the second prong, which is digital, whilst, really the formal and more traditional mentorship approaches are better targeted, they're not quite scalable. So we must really find more channels, to build the soft skills and the confidence of our youth. Again, there are lots of online communities, and really anyone who's successful, who you're targeting, is really online. I mean, you can see what they're doing, what their journeys have been, and that's mentorship, really. It's not a lot more than that. It may not be one-to-one, but a lot can be picked up online. Our young people, Gen Z and millennials, have a lot of influencers, but it depends on who's influencing them. Who are they following? There are lots of people, professionals online who they can follow. There are successful entrepreneurs and all that who they can follow, and they can see what they're doing and how to learn from them. So I think just to say that to scale, we need to kind of break out of the more traditional and more formal one-to-one mentorship approaches and platforms, and try to use the platforms that are much more scalable. And also to the point, I think one of the points that was made, which is really, the people around you, right? Mentoring at home, that was speaking to internships at home. But I was thinking about that, and I was saying, look, everybody I come across, I should be a mentor to that person. And that's really the way it is. It comes naturally to me, whether it's church circles, whatever organizations, my children, my nieces and nephews, it comes naturally to me. And I think I learned from the best, because Bola mentored me, and then she mentors my daughters as well. So just automatically getting in touch with young people, talking to them, whether it's an organist in church or what are you doing, whether it's your security man who has a degree and is not up to much else and all that. Some of the young people now actually employers themselves, lots and lots of them. And every day I listen to what they're doing, and it's amazing. So I think, rather than, think of our youth as victims, and I don't mean to sound contrarian, I think there's a lot that is available to them that they can leverage, whilst we worry about, creating the jobs as well. But having said that, I think the exposure that this internship will provide to our young people is, invaluable. And I wish there were a lot of organizations that are doing the same thing. I'm going to pause there now in the interest of time. Excuse me, time. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone. Thank you for a wonderful panel, from Bola G to Juliet's opening dialogue, which I found very insightful. And I really want to thank all my panelists. Unfortunately, in the interest of time, we're not going to go back and ask you to give your 1 minute advice. But I think the one thing I'll say here is this is a challenge we all need to address. Every one of us need to get involved. And this also speaks to those who are employers and those who should make themselves available to the youth. It does, and I would use the words of somebody who says it does take a village, but it's going to take a whole nation to solve this, because this could become an existential threat for all of us if we don't address it. So with that, I will thank you very much. Thank you all the panelists. Thank you, Fueko. Thank you, Neka. Thank you, Ogogo. Thank you, Bola. Thank you, ABBA and Kofo. And I think that's really it for my panel. And I'll hand back to you, IK. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ucheoji. That was very, very high level discussion there from our panel and from you, our moderator. We appreciate you. We appreciate you all. Just listening to all of it, I mean, I had always understood just how big the issue is, but listening at Madam Ifako Okaru talk about how it's actually an issue of insecurity as well. It just shows the depth of this issue. We really wish we had more time to break it down with each one of you, to listen to our panelists and even ask them questions. But like I said, at the beginning, time is money, and we can't take your time and not pay you money like this. So rather than prevent you from earning more and having the ability to employ more people, we'll have to cut this short at this time. But we thank you all for your time and for your contributions. I hope you realize that we have kind of roped you into Enterprise NGR and into you by having you speak here. You can't now tell us tomorrow when we call on you to give lessons and lectures and trainings to people. You can't turn us down. I'm sure our CEO will agree with me. So this was really just to rope you in. And so all the people who are still in attendance, over 900 of them still here, gleaning from the wisdom. We thank you all as well. I'm going to hand over now for some closing remarks to the chairperson of DLM, who's going to be speaking to the thoughts that we've all enjoyed so far and closing out our evening for us. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me and welcome for his closing remarks, and I'm sure he'll put some wisdom out there as well, Mr. Sonny Babatunde Ayere, the Chief Executive Officer at DLM Capital Group. Please put your hands together for him, even though he can't hear you.
Okay, thank you. As you said, this is obviously a very laudable program. Let me say good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and also to give my 100% support to this business, to this idea. I said, my name is Sonny Ewe, and I'm the CEO of DLM Capital, and also founding member of Enterprise NGR. My task today is to provide the closing marks to this very excellent launch event. I'd like to use the opportunity to thank and appreciate all the distinguished guests and participants for honoring our invitation. Let me first start by appreciating the keynote speakers, my dear brother, Mr. Bola Adesola, and Ms. Juliet Anama. I think there were some key things that I think participants would like to remember from what they said. One, to me, was the issue of critical reasoning, very important. Problem-solving skills, learning to have that. Thinking to be a solutionist always. There is no reward for effort. I tried doesn't cut it, and only results matter. I also remember the word from Balaji, always bring your A game to the table. Always do things to the best of your ability. And always remember, people will always notice the quality of your work. So I think putting those things into context makes, I hope a lot of participants can learn from that. Also to our wonderful panel moderator, Uche Oji, and our brother Mike, and our distinguished panelists, ABBA Bello, former colleague, Ms. Kofo Arolowo, Mr. Olapata, your brother, Ms. Kofo Arolowo, and Ms. Neka Awarji, and also Ms. Bola Adesola. Thank you very much to everyone. You brought to the fore the challenges, the opportunities, the needed actions to address youth unemployment. So we really thank you for that, and to improve employability in corporate Nigeria. Not only did you give us the reasons, but we need to confront this menace head on, but you also unveiled proven use cases from other similar contexts and brought in a wealth of experience as to how successful models can actually be tailored to address these particular and very, very difficult challenges. But I'd also like to thank the board of directors of Enterprise NGR and all member organizations for their unflinching interest and support for the transformation of Nigeria. My appreciation obviously also goes out to the management and staff of Enterprise NGR for working around the clock, and our partners for your continued support. The Youth of Enterprise is a laudable program. It's positioned to address some of the major issues that we discussed today. The program is a very important initiative, and it's a deliberate strategy to grow and nurture the talent for the private sector, also the public sector, and absolutely a definite step in the right direction for the country. So thank you very much to everyone. And I wish everyone, we hope that people would collaborate with us. You know, for companies that are not yet members, do join us because you are the ones that actually open up those opportunities for interns to come in. And then again, for interns, you know, the portal that is going live today becomes a place where you can now begin to interact with employers and hopefully begin to find internships that can begin to provide that training going forward. So thank you very much to everyone. I hand over back to IK. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Very well said, and completely just encapsulated everything in that vote of thanks and closing remarks. Thank you so much for your time, sir. So on behalf of our chairman, Mr. Agbaja, our CEO, Ms. Obi Ibekwe, I want to thank everybody who's participated, all the people who are in attendance. Thank you so much for making our time to be here. I hope it has been as much a blessing to you as it has been to me, and to, I'm sure, the people who participated even on the panel. Thank you so much to all our panelists. We appreciate you for speaking, and to our keynote speakers as well. Thank you so much for your time. We do not take it at all for granted. We look forward, and I'm trying to put some pressure on our CEO now. We look forward to the very next one that hopefully is going to happen sometime soon. I'm not begging, I'm just putting it out there. You know, there's going to happen sometime soon. I see her giving me thumbs up. Thank you, Ms. Ibekwe. So, ladies and gentlemen, You've heard it all, no excuses. There are people out there doing things to make it easier for you to get that job that you want. There are people out there, there are companies out there employing people at an internship level. There are people training. It's now in your court. What are you going to do with all that you've learned? What are you going to do with all that you've heard? Enterprise NGR is still available for you to be a part of. You can log on and register with Enterprise NGR. If you go into the chat, you'll find the details there. Also, there's some information that we want from you in a poll. We're going to ask that you wait behind after we wrap up now and just take part in the poll. We want to find out where you end up. Are you in Gen Z? Are you a millennial? Are you Gen X? Are you a baby boomer? We want to see how best to help you, and the best way to do that is to figure out where you fall in that cater. Now, don't worry about it. We'll break it down for you, because I know sometimes people get confused between Gen Z and millennials where you end, where you fit in, but we'll break that down for you. But please fill that out. It will be very helpful to us in terms of helping you. So just click on that and let us know where you fall. We're trying to form a healthy poll to know of all the 1,000+ people who attended today, who is in most need of help, and how we can help you and serve you. This will also help us develop programs and training for you, so please do that. Once more, a very big thank you to everybody in attendance. That brings us to the end of this particular program, but there'll be more coming from Enterprise NGR and from YOE. We look forward to seeing all of you. And once more, a quick reminder to all our panelists and our speakers that we will be calling on you again. We will not let your knowledge escape us. We're going to reap all we can from you. Thank you so much. God bless you. Take care and have a lovely day.
My name is Obi Ibekwe. I am the Chief Executive Officer of Enterprise NGR. Enterprise NGR is an independent professional advocacy group focused on improving the business environment for the financial and professional services sector in Nigeria. The importance of the financial and professional services sector to any economy cannot be overstated, given its impact on all other sectors of the economy. There is sufficient empirical evidence that a strong financial system drives economic growth. However, a strong economy needs a skilled, competent, and professional workforce to drive and enable it. Any employer in Nigeria today would tell you that sourcing good quality talent is a challenge. On the other hand, the high youth unemployment rate attests to the difficulties our youth are having finding the right job opportunities. Therefore, the mission of the Youth of Enterprise Internship Program is to improve the employability of our young people and connect them to the right job opportunities.
My name is Amina. I don't live in Lagos or Abuja. It's been difficult to get access to information or leads for job opportunities. Sometimes vacancies are filled up before I hear of them. The jobs are in Lagos, and I cannot afford to travel for interviews.
My name is Emeka. I've been applying to several companies and attending several interviews without any success. I don't know what the problem is, but I wish I knew where to get some help in making myself more marketable and attractive to employers.
My name is Sumbo. It's been 2 years since I graduated from a Nigerian university, but I'm still unemployed. I'm frustrated. I don't know anyone who can help me submit my CV or introduce me to companies.
Our Youth of Enterprise Internship Program, YOE for short, seeks to democratize access to career opportunities for Nigerian youth, regardless of their background or geographical location within Nigeria. YOE is focused on improving the quality of talent and employability of our young people. We are collaborating with leading premium companies to upskill and nurture talent from entry level. The purpose of YOE internship program, therefore, is to give our deserving youth a green start in meaningful careers. So log on to www.enterprisengr.com/YOE today and green start your journey to the career of your dreams.